Hello there, and welcome to day 130 of A Film a Day with me, Jordan Woodley. Now, as you can start to notice by some of my video collections, of course there are the playlists, but sometimes contained with videos that I've been watching together, you might see small running themes. For instance, last week I watched a trilogy of Disney films, one being an animated, one being a Marvel, and one being a Star Wars. This week I'm going to have a much more curated theme, where I have handed the reins off to my producer and lovely fiancée Helen, who has chosen 6 films, of course allowing me the gap for the next Marvel film, but chosen 6 films that I will be watching as part of, as I suppose, an education from her perspective on films that I should have already seen, and will help inform me from a different perspective, I suppose, on cinema. And so today I have started with the 2006 comedy fashion insight film, The Devil Wears Prada. This is a very remarkable film. It's the kind of film that obviously growing up at the time in which I did, it was something I was aware of and hung over me for a long, long time as something I'd see scenes of growing up and go, oh, it's something for adults, not for me. Or as I got older, I'd be like, well, I could watch a little bit of this, and I'd watch it and go, I don't know, maybe it's too girly. Of course, now that I'm in adulthood and I can watch films of varying different styles, I have much more a greater appreciation of the style of the film. And therefore, I actually have to say I rather like it. There's something about it that, I don't know if it's, as I say, because it informs an era of filmmaking that I grew up with, particularly in comedy, and American-style comedy, that I relate to, that of course, at least if it's not directly informed, it's tangential to the kinds of comedies that I grew up liking. But there's also something else about this, and I'm going to get deeper into what I think that is. Because I honestly think that there is something about this film that there are incredible positives about it, and there are a couple of drawbacks that really, I think, prevent it from becoming a great in the way that I will expand upon. But as I say, there's something about the era of comedy. I really got a vibe. There are 2 films that I kept thinking about throughout, and one of which was Mean Girls. It really has that same style of Mean Girls, the style of humour. It doesn't quite have the comedic chops of Tina Fey, who, of course, where this is I've been reticent to say this because I have very strong feelings on it, but whereas this leans more towards being a comedy drama, whereas Mean Girls is a comedy, and of course I've talked previously about what the difference between is, which is comedy in terms of the structuring of script and direction should always be hitting towards the next joke. Every moment should be structured around setups and punchlines, so that there isn't a point in the film, unless incredibly dramatically important, where you aren't constantly being shown humour. Whereas a comedy drama is primarily a drama, but relates more to, it has comedic characters, as in characters who you might find amusing, but it's not structured around jokes, as in you could go whole sections where you're funny people and everyone has this sort of witty banter to them, but it's not written in a way that as you're watching it you should be observing jokes or the setups to jokes or the delivery on jokes in the same structural sense, which is why a film like Crazy Rich Asians, which I do appreciate, I do think it's a good film, I put as a drama. it's just a light-hearted drama rather than a comedy. And this Mean Girls, in that respect, is a comedy, whereas this is more of a drama with light comedic elements. And I think that is almost a drawback. And as I said, I've got a few of those. But like I said, it has that light-hearted tone. It has really well-structured characters. And this is a point of a who's who of talent. You know, there are moments in cinema where you bring together actors, some of whom are established, some of whom are upcomers, but in retrospect you look and go, this is a menagerie of actors who are genuine talent, who are getting to work together and create something grand. So you've got Meryl Streep, you've got Stanley Tucci, you've got our lead with Anne Hathaway, and you've got Emily Blunt. I mean, this is, you know, this is a really strong central cast, and honestly I think that's the heart of this, and what really, you know, their chemistry and the different ways they work together, I think, is what carries this film. And Anne Hathaway, you know, this is the period in which Anne Hathaway is transitioning from the Disney Channel darling, the Princess Diaries, into serious Oscar contender Anne Hathaway, who can still do, you know, it doesn't mean it's all, you know, Les Miserables. You know, it doesn't mean she can't be funny, but it means that there's a certain gravitas that she brings, and she doesn't, you know, have the goofiness that, of course, you know, the earlier roles would require her to lean into, because, of course, it's more to appeal to a certain demographic, whereas she's an incredibly strong actress and has only grown stronger over the years. And this is definitely that transition. It does mean she falls back on bad habits and goes into the goofiness that I think holds the film back sometimes. But her character is so charming, and the parallel that I draw between this and Mean Girls is the fact that you see, and this is something I really appreciate, particularly in female-centric cinema, in especially of sort of the noughties onwards. A film called How to Be Single. I really appreciated that film. It's not particularly well remembered, but similarly, it does the thing where you see a character in a state of transition. And of course, with, say, Mean Girls, it would be filed under coming of age, whereas with this, of course, Anne Hathaway's character is an adult, and you know, if you take someone like the character from How to Be Single, or even last year with the TV series Love Life with Anna Kendrick, these are adult women, but I think examining someone in their 20s, particularly in that sort of cosmopolitan, you know, I was a student and I'm now settling into the work life, and seeing the way they evolve as a person is a really interesting character piece. And particularly, like I say, in female cinema, you know, you get, like I say, these performers like Anna Kendrick, like Anne Hathaway, who demonstrate the ability to show someone at the beginning of their journey with certain principles and ideals and personality traits, and the slow transition of that person and how they are changed, so that by the end of the film or TV series, that they are still themselves as you would recognise them, but they have grown and evolved. And like I say, with Mean Girls, it's very much about, which is why it's the best parallel to this, it's very much about the corrupting influence changing someone both for the worse and the better. You know, of course, you have Lindsay Lohan's character who you know, in trying to infiltrate and take down the sort of popular girls, she ends up developing traits of theirs. But when it gets to the end of the film, she has a bit of that, and it advances her as a person. Similarly, with this, you have Anne Hathaway's character, Andrea, who, you know, doesn't believe in the fashion industry, and then over the course of the film, becomes more invested in it, compromises and tries to find ways to live up to the standards within the industry, up to Meryl Streep's Miranda? Is that the name of the character? Yeah, Miranda, sorry. My mind blip. Meryl Streep's Miranda, to live up to the standards of this impossible character. And of course you see her grow and change, and it compromises the relationships with her partner, with her friends, because she's becoming something that they don't recognise. But it doesn't invalidate the evolution that she is going through as a person. And again, sorry, as I said, Meryl Streep, Miranda, I did say before I started recording the video, I was going to struggle because there are 3 levels to this. There are the characters, the actors, and then the real people. So Miranda, who Meryl Streep plays, is based on Anna de Winter. Is it not de Winter? Oh, Anna Winter, the editor of Vogue. See, struggling. The editor of Vogue, who, the script is based on the account, well, the fictionalized account of a woman who worked for Anna Winter. And of course, it extrapolates to becoming the story of, were there parallels between this character that we see and sort of Meryl Streep's character and Anna Winter, and the way that she's slightly cruel, manipulative, dismissive. She creates a toxic work environment, but she's also a powerful female character. Now, I've been informed, as part of the additional education, that if you go from the real Anna Winter to the memoir to this film, or not the memoir, sorry, the fictional story, the novel to this film, the stronger character traits aren't actually in the novel. They came more into the film. However, as I say, I wonder if there are parallels, that people will go, oh, I really see Anna Winter in Meryl Streep. Because she is a very good character. And of course, this is Meryl Streep, so she just is able to dominate the role in a way that that you both admire and are terrified of her. So again, these two carry the film, and of course Stanley Tucci, who has a great role in this, a character who I want to know more of. I kind of wish we'd got a spin-off prequel film about his character, but there's him and Emily Blunt, who again, they make a great central four. You also have you have the boyfriend, who apparently, reportedly, is not a particularly liked character amongst the fan culture of this. I totally understand the arc of the character. He's there for a reason, and I don't dislike him, but I also appreciate, like I said, that he is representative of a character growing away from the life they once had. The character I have a problem with is the love interest, ? Who's played by Simon Baker, who works for, who's a writer and someone who Andrea and Hathaway deeply admires, and of course he's constantly flirting with her. The problem I have with the character is in 2021, his character, though I'm sure was intended to be charming and charismatic at the time, and sort of a dream sort of love interest in that environment, now comes across as slightly crossing the Me Too line in a way that he's clearly an older man. He's very overwhelming in his intentions. He never pretends in any way that there is anything other than his intention, his sexual intentions upon Anne Hathaway. Though he does do some good things, there is something about it to me that's a little bit sketchy and a little bit doesn't... If it was meant to be charming then, it doesn't age well now. But hey, that's just a different read on the film. And this all really feeds into, I suppose, the big issue I have with it, which is, I genuinely think this is a great film. I genuinely think it has really strong, well-written characters and an interesting setting. And someone who I have no knowledge of fashion, the fashion industry. Like I said, I can't even get the name of the editor of Vogue right. And yet I was drawn in and I was really intrigued by the world. And I wanted this just to have that little bit more teeth. As I said, there were two films I kept thinking about when watching this. The one being Mean Girls, and the other one being Neon Demon. Now, Neon Demon is as far away from this or Mean Girls as possible. That is on the verge of horror, sort of meta examination of the fashion industry through the lens of Suspiria. It's not that. But I wanted there to be a touch of that. I mean, Neon Demon came out a decade after The Devil Wears Prada, but I wanted it to have the teeth that the fashion industry is shown to have in Neon Demon. And if there's anything I think it struggled with, is that because this is seemingly treated as, like I said, a rom-com, chick-lit, light-hearted fare where you've got an Anne Hathaway who's not quite out of the Disney Channel cookie cutter place. I wanted it to have just that little bit more nastiness to it. And it does do the humour and the nastiness quite well, so that you understand the pressure of the job whilst also not hating everyone involved. It walks that line well. But you get to the conclusion, and I'm not going to spoil it, but you get to the ending, and I wanted it to be more ambiguous. I wanted there to be more a sense of, this is the culture you live in, you have sold into this. Whereas the film, because it wanted to lean into sort of a more light-hearted, because it wanted to be much more fun and much more that sort of noughties comedy drama fare where it's not trying to be harmful, it's just trying to have fun and also explore the fashion industry. It doesn't have the courage to double down, and there is a point in which I would have ended the film. Now, I'm a 29-year-old man from who lives in 2021, who likes your darker, more complex, more troubling films. So maybe I'm not the audience for it. But what I would have wanted, and what I think would have pushed it to that level where it would have been considered practically Oscar caliber, is I wanted it to have more that sense of inescapability, that this is, you sell into this industry and you are consumed by it, hence the Neon Demon aspect that I've been alluding to. Whereas it doesn't have quite the courage of its convictions to do that, and I think that's a shame, because I genuinely think, other than that, I think this film is such fun and so interesting, and as I say, the fact that it walks between, it alludes to reality, makes it just that much more fascinating a piece to look at. But yeah, I genuinely had fun with this. So I think, as the first for the week of producer Helen's curated list for me, I think this was a big tick, because I genuinely enjoyed this. I thought this was a really, really great film. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Please hit that like button, comment on the video, and share the video to help me with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell to get notifications of when new videos go up. And please do check out my 130 videos on my back catalogue. And follow me on Twitter at Jordan_Woodley, where I'm always tweeting about movies and TV shows and news and trailers. And of course, links to the videos as they go up. Thank you for joining me. Take care.